The production of new organisms from existing organisms of the same species is called reproduction. It is essential for the survival of a species on Earth. It ensures continuity of life on Earth. Asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. The production of new organisms from a single parent without the involvement of gametes is called asexual reproduction. Advantage: it is simple and fast. Disadvantage: produces identical organisms generation after generation, and evolutionary change is not possible as variations are less. Examples of asexual reproduction: fission, fragmentation, regeneration, budding, spore formation, vegetative propagation. Binary fission: bacteria and protozoa divide by binary fission, e.g., Amoeba and Leishmania. Multiple fission: Plasmodium divide into many daughter cells simultaneously by multiple fission. Fragmentation: multicellular organisms like Spirogyra breaks up on maturation and each fragment grows into new individual. Regeneration is carried out by specialized cells which proliferate and make large number of cells. In simple organisms like Hydra and planaria, small cut or broken part of the organism grow or regenerate into separate individuals. In budding, a bud-like outgrowth is formed on a parent body due to repeated cell division of regenerative cells at one specific site. When the bud matures into tiny individual, it detaches itself from the parent body and grows into an independent organism. Hydra and yeast reproduce by budding. Rhizopus consists of fine thread-like projections called hyphae. It has a knob-like structure which is involved in reproduction called sporangia, containing spores, that develop into new rhizopus. Vegetative propagation is the ability of plants to produce new plants from existing vegetative parts like root, stem and leaves under appropriate conditions. Potato and onion can grow from stem, guava from root and bryophyllum from leaf. Some artificial methods of vegetative propagation are done through stem cutting, grafting, layering and tissue culture. Sexual reproduction: reproduction in which gametes from two parents unite to produce offspring that share traits from both parents. The male gamete, the sperm, is smaller and motile. The female gamete, the ovum, is larger and filled with reserve food and remains passive. Significance of sexual reproduction: combining of DNA from two different individuals promote diversity in offspring. Reshuffling of genes increases genetic variations and plays a prominent role in the origin of new species. Disadvantage: as fertilization is random, harmful variations can occur. The different parts of a flower are sepals, petals, stamens and pistil. Sepals form the outermost whorl of a flower and are collectively known as the calyx. They cover and protect the flower in the bud stage. Petals are collectively called corolla. Petals are brightly colored and scented to attract pollinators. Stamen is the male reproductive part of flower. Each stamen consists of an anther and a filament. Anthers produce pollen grains that contain the male gamete. Pistil is the female part of the flower. Each pistil consists of ovary, style, and stigma. Ovary contains one or more ovules. Each ovule contains the female gamete. Pollination is the process by which pollen grains from the anthers of a flower are transferred to the stigma of the same flower or of another flower. The transfer of pollen from one flower to another is achieved by pollinating agents or pollinators like wind, water, insects, or other small animals. When the pollen grains are transferred to the stigma of the same flower or to the flower of the same plant is known as self-pollination. When the pollen grains are transferred to the stigma of a flower on a different plant of the same species, it is known as cross-pollination. The pollen grain germinates on the stigma to produce the pollen tube. The pollen tube carrying the male gamete grows and makes its way down the style and reaches the ovule in the ovary. The male gamete fuses with the egg cell in the ovule to form zygote. The fusion of the male and female gamete takes place in ovary, fertilization. After fertilization, the zygote divides several times and develops into embryo within the ovule. The ovule containing the embryo develops a tough coat and is converted into seed. The ovary develops into the fruit. The embryo grows into a new plant when the seed germinates. Development of the seed into a seedling under appropriate condition is called germination.